Top 3 most overrated Doctor Who seasons of all time. Okay, so today I thought I'd do a video talking about the 3 seasons of Doctor Who that I think are the most overrated. Prepare yourselves, boys. There's going to be some aching butts when I've finished with this one. This is just, if I have to say it, this is just my personal opinion. This is just my personal preferences and tastes that rarely match with the consensus on anything, frankly. Okay, let's get started. Number 3, the third most overrated Doctor Who season of all time, in my opinion. Season 19. Just kind of pipping season 18 to this list simply because, season 18 at least has Lala in it. What can I say? I really think season 19 is very overrated. I have to admit, I've kind of cooled on the 80s a bit lately, particularly the Davison era. I find a lot of it a bit kind of dour and dreary and plasticky. And I think season 19 is definitely my least favourite. And it just seems to be a very popular season, and I just don't see it, honestly. Now, don't get me wrong, I think Peter Davison's fine in it. He's not my favourite Doctor. In fact, he's my least favourite classic Doctor. But, he's fine. I think I have gone on record many times as saying I don't like the Davison era companions, and they're pretty much all at their worst here. Nissa's probably the most tolerable of them, simply because she's cute. The problem is that she doesn't really get anything to do, and the character is a bit kind of weird and she's a bit kind of weird and alien and off-putting, but she never gets enough exploration for that to actually be interesting. And as for the other two, oh dear God. I mean, Adric's unpopularity is quite legendary, and rightly so, in my opinion. He's just really, really annoying. And honestly, I will never get why Tegan is popular. I can't stand her. She drives me up the bloody wall, and I think she's at her worst in season 19 and Logopolis, what we get of her in that. I do think Janet Fielding gets a bit better later on. I think she's quite tolerable in season 20. But season 19, I just find her really grating, really wooden, and really freaking annoying. You do have to wonder at some of the decision-making processes in JNT's head. I mean, you can blame a lot of the dourness of season 18 on Bidmead, who apparently, misinterpreted JNT's request for Doctor Who to be more serious again, to become a boring science lecture, rather than, look, you can make things more serious by, more action-packed or more horror, more scares. Instead, that we interpreted that as, let's remove all the humor and make the thing really fucking boring. Okay, I think there's a better way to do that. It's just my opinion. But like I said, I still think season 18 has a bit more of an edge. It's got State of Decay in, which is mostly mercifully free of Bidmead's interests. And again, it's Tom and Lala, who will automatically give it about 50 points more than the terrible trio, as I call them. And a lot of this, I love Black Orchid. I think Black Orchid works. Earthshock is obviously a classic. The rest, Castrovalva, I've kind of warmed up to Castrovalva again. I really went off it for a long time. I've kind of warmed up to it a little bit. Though I still think, those first episodes in the TARDIS, when the thing is being carried mostly by the companions who can't act, is really not good. For the Doomsday, it's again not good. Kinder is the most overrated pile of fucking crap I've ever seen in my life. People think it's smart, and they think that saying they like it makes them smart. It's not. It's really fucking stupid, and it's really nonsensical, and it's really boring. Sorry. The Visitation's okay, but it just feels like a bit of a pastiche of Doctor Who rather than actual Doctor Who. and Time Flight is just garbage. Yeah, I'm sorry. The third most overrated season of all time is season 19. I don't see it. Sorry. Number 2. Okay, now I've got the classic fans hating me. Time to get the new Who fans hating me. In second place as the second most stunningly overrated season of Doctor Who ever, in my opinion, is New Who Series 4. Yeah, I don't get this at all, honestly. I mean, okay, I'm not a fan of the Davis era. The era as a whole really doesn't do it for me now. It didn't do much for me at the time, and it hasn't aged well, in my opinion. I think I'd still kind of go for Series 1 and Series 3 over Series 4, though. And yet, Series 4 seems to be the one that gets the most kind of adulation these days. And the Tennant and Tate partnership, which is honestly is often cited as one of the best, and I think it's one of the worst. I mean, okay, I'm not a Tennant fan, but I don't mind him in Series 3. I think he borders on being okay at times in that season. I find him really... My problem with Tennant was, apart from the fact that he's so freaking overrated as to be ridiculous, I found him kind of too bland and nondescript in a lot of Series 2. I thought he started to kind of work in the part to a degree in Series 3. And then I thought in Series 4, perhaps partly because he was being paired with Tate, I found he just went really over the top and was mugging and just caricaturizing himself and being really freaking annoying. And she was kind of annoying too. I know, this is not a popular opinion, but I just do not get it. And the season as a whole, I don't think it's terribly good, really. I would not say that there was an actual great episode in it. I didn't mind Planet of the Ood. I haven't seen it for years because I just don't revisit this era very often. The Centauran one was okay, I guess. Even Silence in the Library is the weakest of Moffat's scripts in that era. I mean, it's the weakest of his stories. I'm not sure there's anything really wrong with the script. I think the production's a bit flat. Even on first viewing, there's just not much atmosphere. And this is a story that seems to kind of be wanting atmosphere. And the whole thing just seems really flatly directed to me. Don't get me wrong, I think it's one of the better stories of the season, but yeah. Midnight is pretty good. Again, even though I liked it in the past, I haven't watched it for years because I just don't revisit this era. And Turn Left, I've always thought was just really, really, really freaking overrated. And as for the rest of it, I'm sorry. I think Partners in Crime and The Fires of Pompeii are god-awful to the point of being genuinely unwatchable. The Doctor's Daughter is another one. The Unicorn and the Wasp is one of those stories where it reminds you of what the Discontinuity Guide said about the Time Monster, that the cast is having such fun that they've forgotten that the audience would like to have some as well. I'm sorry, I don't think it's really weak. And at the time, I regarded Journey's End as the worst Doctor Who episode ever made. I think it's probably been matched or superseded a billion times over, especially, in the last 5 years, but even at times, in the Capaldi era especially. But I really think it sucks. The whole thing just grates on my nerves. It's like a massively annoying noise CGI fest mid-2000s Hollywood blockbuster of the kind that was really turning me off at the time and still just gives me a migraine today. And people love that story. They go ape shit for it. And I'm sitting here and I still think it's one of the worst Doctor Who stories. Certainly to that point. Oh, God. It's... Okay. Now to see how many more people I can piss off. Now, before I start, I don't hate the season. This isn't a list of my most hated seasons. This is just a list of seasons that I don't necessarily like, or at least don't think much of, but which many other people seem to. There seems to be a consensus that these are really, really great seasons. And I'm like, nah, not really. So bear that in mind. My most overrated season of all, I think. Sorry, folks, but it's season 12. Sorry, sci-fi guy. Yeah, this is one I've just never gotten. I mean, I've never really thought all that much to it. But in recent years, as I've actually thought about it more and kind of looked at it more, yeah, it's not really all that amazing to me. I actually came to the conclusion a while back that this is my least favourite Tom season. And, for a while there, I would have said it was season 18, and believe me, I still have serious problems with that season. But again, it's got Lala, and it's got K9, and it's got State of Decay, which I think is better than anything in season 12. And even Meglos I kind of like. Full Circle's a bit dry, but it's still okay. There's something about season 12 that just does not do anything for me. I mean, Robot is okay, I guess. It's not the worst, post-regeneration story, but it certainly isn't one of the better ones either. The Ark in Space, which is often held up as like, the start of the Hinchcliffe horror. It hasn't really aged well, has it? I mean, it's a good script. It's a good script from Bob Holmes, but it's really let down by the production and the effects. Even more so than is usual in classic Who, because this is really trying to be a scary, atmospheric horror story. And the effects, especially of the adult Wirren, are laughter-inducing. I'm sorry, even with the best suspension of disbelief and the best will in the world, and I don't generally have a care about effects. I'm quite happy to overlook that shit when I'm watching Doctor Who. But yeah, it doesn't, It's one thing to overlook the effects when you're dealing with a story that's just a bit of fun, but when you are dealing with a story that's trying to be aliens and it looks like the Muppet Show, it's not good, It's kind of hard to really will yourself into the atmosphere when it's just so bad. Sorry. Sontaran Experiment I have liked before. I found it kind of boring when I tried to watch it last time, earlier this year, or possibly last year. And I've always found Genesis really overrated. I'm sorry, don't hate me. I don't hate it. Problem with it is it doesn't inspire enough emotion in me to really feel much of anything. I think there's in 6 episodes, there's one really good episode. I mean, in terms of set pieces, like action set pieces and dialogue set pieces. I think there's about 25 minutes of really, really good stuff. And then there's 5 episodes worth of, padding, basically. And just typical Dalek runaround that wouldn't be out of place in the Pertwee era. I just don't think it, I'm sorry. I've said before, I find Destiny more fun. That's probably because I like Tom later on more than I do here, and I like Lala more than I do Sarah and Harry. Don't get me wrong, I don't hate Sarah and Harry. I certainly like them more than, the season 19 bunch. But compared to the rest of the Tom Baker companions, they're probably my least favourite, not counting Adric, obviously. I just find Genesis kind of okay, really. I don't hate it. I just find it kind of okay, and I'm just kind of bamboozled by everybody, ranting and raving over how great it is. I'm like, okay, if you say so. and Revenge, Revenge actually is crap. It's the worst story of the season. It actually is crap. It gives the lie to the idea that the Hinchcliffe era was an unbroken run of masterpieces. Nah, it's shite, love. I know that some of you have nostalgic memories of it. That's fine. It's still a bit crap. The Cybermen look like they're, going to be in a YMCA advert in a minute or something like that. And the music, oh god, the music is god awful. Music is so god awful. And the story's just not that great. And the Vogons look like crap as well. And you got some really good actors in there, like Kevin Stoney and who's the other fella? You know who I mean? David Collins. And yet they're covered up. You can't even see their freaking faces. It's not even makeup. It's just these hideous masks, so you can't even see the. And you can barely hear their voices underneath the bloody things. Yeah, I'm sorry. I really think Revenge. The funny thing about Revenge, it was like the first story I actually watched as a fan. It was actually even before season 24 came on, and it was the first VHS that I managed to get hold of. Now, I'd seen Doctor Who before on the TV. I hadn't seen Tom, since I was like 5 or something ridiculous. I vaguely remember that I watched Logopolis twice. And my very first memory of the show is Destiny, probably the repeat. But I mean, I couldn't say that I really remembered them. So Revenge was really the first Papa Tom Baker story I watched. Even at the time, I was like, kind of smiling through the tears somewhat, and quite privately thinking, I really hope it's better than. I really hope there's better stories than this. Yeah. Thankfully there were. I'm not big on Revenge. So I'm afraid I just don't get it. Again, maybe it's just an age thing. Maybe you had to be, that age when you watched season 12 in the 70s or something, because I just don't get it. I don't think it's all that great. I think the Hinchcliffe era is overrated, but I generally like the rest of it. I think season 14 is excellent. And season 13, well, again, I think it's really overrated. I think it's still pretty strong for the most part. I mean, but season 12, I don't get it. I don't get where its reputation comes from, because it's not actually that great. I think I actually prefer season 11. I mean, season 11's not that great, but I say Time Warrior and Invasion of the Dinosaurs I like a lot more than anything in season 12. Sorry. Oh well, that's it. My top 3 most overrated seasons of Doctor Who. Season 19, Series 4, and Season 12. I'm afraid those are hyped up seasons that just leave me going, really? Thanks for listening. Bye for now.